Hello guys, today I have actually something completely different. It's a costume or prop for cosplay. It's a replica of a gun based on Doctor Who series and it's used by a character called River Song. The gun itself is called Alpha Meson Blaster, at least I think so, because I'm not a huge fan of the series. And this is actually 3D printed replica with a functional trigger, and there are even some LED lights included. Currently, they are masked off, so you won't see much of it. Maybe about it in another video. Generally, this has been bought by a friend of mine. It cost her like 80 euros for the 3D print, including the LEDs, which is not exactly cheap, to be honest. On the other hand, it's quite well done. I did my fair share of sanding and filling, and she specifically specified that she prefers to look slightly more rugged, slightly more used. She was absolutely okay with some parts with a visible print layers and so on. So I did my best with that. It's pretty much first time I'm doing something like this. And now we are actually in a part that I took some time, like an hour, to mask off the parts before applying the black color. Because generally it was printed on a classic grayish PLA or some sort of material, I don't know. On that I applied the black filler. Then later on, after some sanding, I applied the white one, which will pretty much be working as a base coat. And now I'm applying LP black from Tamiya. It's been thinned down by the standard yellow top lacquer thinner from Tamiya. And I'm about to spray those two lines with the black and the top side as well. And later on, there will be also a gunmetal, also LP color applied for the, let's say, well, it's not exactly a gun nozzle, but something like that. So this one's supposed to be gunmetal. There are actually several versions of or several ideas about how this gun should look like. So I'm not sure whether I picked proper one from proper season or episode or whatever, but I'm doing my best. So let's see. Okay. And let's start with the color. As usual, I'm using my Gallery airbrush 0.28 nozzle, and this is the specific one with a pistol trigger, so I like it a lot. Okay, so let's start with the first layer. Nothing fast, nothing fancy. I prefer not to overspray too much, so I won't have to cover that up. Yeah, allow me to touch the airflow a bit. Yeah, that's much better. The original gun, which actually the series makers used, was actually a Nerf pistol. So part of the requirement was to not completely hide this origin of this gun. So let's check how it will work out. but so far it looks quite nice. So I'm really just applying very thin layers, nothing dramatic, just enough to make sure that it adheres to the surface. By the way, before I started, I actually roughed the surface a bit with 800 grit sandpaper. Okay, let's apply now. Okay. So far, so good. And as a matter of fact, as an underlying layer under the gunmetal, I'll apply a thin coat of this black color as well. Okay, doesn't look completely bad. Okay, so from my point of view, we are pretty much done. As a matter of fact, it looks much worse on the camera, but the black is actually very nice. So let's hope that the outcome will be fine after unmasking. Once it will be completely prepared, I'll share it with you again, guys. So should you have any ideas about how it should look like, please feel free to advise me. I welcome any comments. Okay. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.